All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Bitcoin halving. And it's been quite a while. We've been talking about the Bitcoin halving. It's always about that halving, but it's 21 days out. And I want to talk about some things I've said in the past and things that might happen when Bitcoin halves. And so about May 12th, we're going to see the halving from 12.5 coins per block to 6.25 per block. Now, it's always actually a little bit more than that in terms of rewards because the miners actually get the fees from it as well. And eventually, the supply goes very, very low. So we can see here, we're in the third reward era. We're going to be moving into the fourth reward era, which is 6.25 Bitcoin. And I really like this chart. And at first it looks a little intimidating. There's a lot of numbers, but you can see in the very first era, you got 50 Bitcoin per block. And so that added 10.5 million Bitcoin out of the 21 million total Bitcoin. So 50% of the supply was released in the first 4 years, and then so on and so on. Eventually, you get so low that, we're talking about mere Satoshis here. So 1,192 Satoshi, 596, and so on and so on. So eventually, the rewards, and I made a video on this about a month ago, talking about at some point the rewards are actually going to flip. And what I mean by that is that currently the rewards for fees and such like that is about an additional 0.1314 Bitcoin. And so if you take a look at that, you can see that we would actually surpass that reward point. The fees would actually be greater in the 10th era, at least. And that's hard to say because fees do go up and they go down. In 2017, they were the highest they ever were. But now we have more volume than we ever did in 2017, believe it or not. More transactions, more volume going on, and the fees are less. And that's for a lot of reasons. Wallets are better. SegWit, exchanges actually batch now. Coinbase just started batching not that long ago. I think it was a couple months back. And so basically they were just sending out any transaction willy-nilly until they realized, hey, we should probably just like batch these up, wait an extra couple minutes here, and then send them all out at once, which was significantly increasing the fees for the entirety of Bitcoin. So we have a Bitcoin inflation versus time chart, and as you can see, the inflation is very, very slow, and by 2140, we'll have all of the Bitcoin. So this was important. I've been talking about the halving for a while. I think every crypto YouTuber, anybody that's in Bitcoin has been talking about the halving. And again, May 12th. And what I said in the past was that I thought that it would be like a buy the news, or buy the rumor, sell the news sort of thing. And that the price will increase just before the halving, and more and more and more articles will be popping up talking about the halving. It'd be all over Reddit, it'd be all over forums, etc. And to be totally honest, it's actually been a bit underwhelming on the way to the halving. Again, we only have 21 more days. Where is the price increase, and where is all the hype? Now, of course, there's always articles that you can find about it, but there just isn't a lot of hype on it. And so this chart here shows the first halving and then the price just exploding, and then the second halving and the price exploding. And I want to look at that in a slightly different chart here. So the first halving, 365 days before the first halving, Bitcoin was only $2.54. Now, 365 days after the halving, it was $1,000. And except you could say, oh, well, the halving definitely caused that look. And I think it was partially the halving that caused that. But another thing is that Coinbase came out about this time. And Coinbase was somewhat revolutionary as an exchange. It was very safe. It was for Americans. You could cash in money, get money out. It was sort of revolutionary in that aspect. And that was all the way back, I think, in 2013 or earlier. And then the price went up to about $1,000. And I attribute that not just to the halving. We could put some halving in there, but I attribute that to Coinbase coming out, and that was huge. There was these referral links to Coinbase. It was very easy for Americans in a lot of countries just to use your credit card and get money on there. You didn't have to use PayPal, didn't have to do this, that, or the other thing. And quite frankly, there just weren't that many exchanges then. And when something good comes out, like the Facebook of exchanges, and it just looks so good and Bitcoin. It's so streamlined and so easy to use. Tons of people jumped in on it. And then it went to $1,000 and it crashed to, I think, less than $200. It was $100 and some odd about a year and a half or so later. And then we have the second halving, which happened on July 9th, 2016. And that's about 365 days later, we were into 2017. At the beginning of 2017, we're at $1,000. At the end of it, we all know the story, $20,000. But what I attributed, again, it wasn't just the halving that you have to understand here. That in the beginning of 2017, shortly before that, we saw a lot of things with referral links coming up, like Genesis Mining. We've seen BitConnect pop up around that time, and let's be quite real. I've ran a crypto YouTube channel for years now, and I stream a lot, so I get to talk to everybody on this subject. And a lot of people actually got into Bitcoin. People tell me this all the time because of BitConnect. BitConnect from a referral link or from a video or from a friend. Everybody got into Bitcoin because of BitConnect. Now, not everybody, of course, but a lot of people, a surprising number of people got into it. And that's not so hard to believe, as popular as BitConnect was. It was huge. Everybody was making multiple videos about it a day. It was just absolutely everywhere. And everybody had to go out and buy Bitcoin for, they were putting money into Genesis Mining. They were putting money into these various essentially Ponzi's, and it was just pumping the prices. Everybody was just buying. So again, these two halvings, when we only have two of them, so it's hard to even go off of just two events in history, did cause a significant price increase. But was it only because of the halving? I think not. Now, currently Bitcoin halving searches on Google hits all-time highs, and well, that makes total sense because we're getting close to the halving. But it is what it is. So everybody is aware of what's going on. And in 2013 and 2016, or 2012 and 2016, excuse me, not as many people were into Bitcoin, period. Probably a tenth of the people that were into Bitcoin now were not then, or were in then. So basically take everybody now and reduce it by 90%, and that's probably the amount of people that were into it. Everybody came in 2017 when all the new coins were coming, and BitConnect and all the new dApps and cloud mining schemes and things like that. Everybody got in at that time, and so it's kind of natural to think that now that everybody knows about it, what is going to happen? That's the question. So queries about the highly anticipated event peaked in the week ending April 11th, excuse me, the highest in Bitcoin's 11-year history. It moved down 18% as of press time, but it remains at elevated levels. It remains double what it was for the week end of March 21st. Google Trends scale their searches on a range of 0 to 100 based on the topics to all searches on a topic. Sharp rises indicative of an increase in retail interest, although I guess I wouldn't put it that way, according to Mike Alfred, CEO of fintech and data company Digital Assets Data. I don't know if it's retail interest necessarily. I think I would just call that everybody's interest. Bitcoin goes through the halving process every 200,000 blocks, 210,000, it's every 4 years, and the hype is starting to get pretty real. Except for the fact that it's just not as much as I thought it would. So my thoughts on the entire Bitcoin halving thing is that the price is going to go up until the halving. And then once the halving happens, let's just imagine the halving happens in 3 seconds. So the halving comes and let's wait. Nothing happened. So to you and I, nothing is really going to happen. What it's really going to happen to is the miners. Miners currently, are mining just barely at profit or over profit, and when you cut that in half, that's going to be hard. Anybody that's paying anything more than the lowest possible rate of electricity when running farms is going to be SOL for sure. And they're going to have to shut down or sell their stuff or find cheaper electricity, because half is very significant. If you were only making a little bit more than, what your electricity costs per month, and then you have that, you're no longer profitable. So while a lot of people are still going to remain profitable, there's going to be a good amount that will eventually have to capitulate. So I think once the halving occurs and the price, people are going to start to FOMO in a little bit. I don't know how much the price is going to go up. It doesn't seem like that much at this point, which is very strange. But people will feel the crunch in about a year. As you can see with all the charts previously, about 365 days, then you really start to feel that crunch, because it's basically like right now, everybody's got a lot of money. It's all over the place. And if the government was like, hey, we're going to stop producing money, you wouldn't really feel anything right away. You could still get paid. You could still go around and give out money and get products and things like that. But eventually that money's going to kind of get hoarded. People are going to be putting it in their bank accounts and taking it, losing it maybe. And eventually money will get more and more rare. And that $20 bill in your pocket, instead of only buying 4 gallons of milk, now it's suddenly going to be buying 8 gallons of milk, sort of thing. So people don't feel that right away, because as soon as the halving occurs, all the Bitcoin that's on the exchanges, well, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. It's not like all of a sudden the Bitcoin in your wallet just immediately decreases. It's still all over the place. But as people are taking it off exchanges and hoarding it away, eventually you start to feel that supply crunch, as there's just less coming in every day. So during a recent live stream, and I like some of these quotes here, so I want to share some of these. Ivan on Tech analyzed how the halving event will affect the trading behavior of retail investors versus whales. He anticipates that there will be an increase in buying demand from retail investors in the days leading up to the halving, which will push Bitcoin's price up. He cautions that this will give whales an opportunity to sell large amounts of Bitcoin without much slippage, because the buying demand from retail investors will offset the potential price drop caused by a heavy liquidation. And then somebody responds to him and they say, I think that's possible. I think it's almost equally possible. Aliens come down from Mars and are horny for our Bitcoin and hack all of our wallets, which I agree with. This statement here by Ivan on Tech is just baseless. Are retail investors really buying up the halving, and are whales going to be really selling the halving? I think that just doesn't make sense. If you were a whale and you knew that the price was going to be going up, why would you be selling? It's just speculation. It's sort of nonsense. Pepe was another guy was also quite skeptical of this scenario. He says, I don't really listen to any of these theories. They just don't make sense. It's speculation based on nothing, basically. I just want to watch the charts, and that's providing me the data that I need to have to trade. So how will it actually play out? So I read the charts, and what I feel like the halving could be, that we still see some slight rally coming into the next few weeks, just close to the event. And that's what I sort of agree with. I've been talking about the halving for a while and saying that, okay, well, as we get closer, there's going to be more articles, there's going to be more FOMO, there's going to be more posts on forums and Reddits and things like that, and it's going to really start FOMOing people in. And I thought that the price would be up higher than it was by now. Of course, with the whole coronavirus thing going on and the shutdown of basically the whole world economy, it's really no surprise. So I don't think there's actually going to be anything that special going on with the halving at this time for the year 2020. I think it just sort of got interrupted by all of the economic shutdown that the world has experienced right now. And, of course, there was a lot of oil turmoil and all sorts of things going on at the same time. And I don't think that much is going to happen. I think the price might increase a little bit as we get close. And then I think we're going to see an actual sell-off when people realize, oh, the price just isn't skyrocketing. When they see that the price isn't going anywhere, they're going to go, oh, well, I just bought this Bitcoin. I better sell it now. And that's just usually what happens. It's just sort of a buy the rumor, sell the news type thing. And it's really going to have no true effect on Bitcoin, period. For at least a year. Then we'll start seeing that supply crunch as people lose Bitcoin, as people put Bitcoin off of exchanges onto cold storage, etc. And what person says, the beauty of Bitcoin and crypto is that you don't have to think of any of this stuff. You don't need a narrative. People want a narrative, but you don't need a narrative. It's all in the charts. So I can tell you a day or a week before what I'm going to see and the chart and what I'm going to do. But it's not going to it's not going to be because of the halving narrative. And I agree. It's just it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. I just don't think anything crazy is going to happen right away. And it's sort of what I've been saying for a while, although admittedly I thought we would be at a higher price by now. I thought the FOMO would be a bit greater. But with Bitcoin and the fact that everybody knows about it, and that with the more and more people get in, the more it seems to tame the price, the more it seems to tame rumor events and news events. I remember when I first started like crypto YouTubing, one of the big things that happened right away when I started making videos was that China banned crypto Bitcoin exchanges. And when that happened, we went from about $4,900 to $3,200, and that was a huge jump. I mean, that was crushing, because we started off the year at 1,000 and we were up to nearly 5,000. Then all of a sudden it just starts dumping because of bad news, and that sort of thing just doesn't happen as much these days. But of course, next generation Bitcoin mining hardware arrives just in time for the Bitcoin halving. So as we get closer and closer, as the hash rate gets up and up and up, I wonder, how much power is it going to take? How many power plants do you have to bring online to be Bitcoin mining? And humanity always finds a way. And we're now up to the S19 S19s models, S19 Pro, they call it, from Bitmain. It's at 110 terahash and an energy efficiency of 29.5 joule to terahash, which is just good. I mean, 110 terahash. We have MicroBT coming out with 112 terahash miners. And they're actually relatively cheap. The miners are expected to sell from $3,900 to $2,800. Bitmain's is something like $2,600 to $1,900 a piece. So I mean, these are cheaper than models we've seen like in S9 era, etc. And they're just getting cheaper, and they're getting faster and faster. But you're still going to have that warehouse entirely of Bitcoin no matter what, and you're still going to have that low electricity rate. Especially after the halving. It's going to be interesting to see who will have to capitulate. I do remember Vertcoin. I remember mining Vertcoin, and it happened right after NiceHash got hacked. And everybody was looking for an alternative, and I made a video on Vertcoin mining, and it was relatively popular, and a ton of people were mining Vertcoin, and it was about right at that time. It was extremely poor timing that Vertcoin was going to undergo a halving. Let's call it halving. And so it was maybe a few weeks later, or a month later maybe, that I made the video that it underwent a halving. And at that point, Vertcoin was really not particularly profitable to mine. And everybody had to move on. So now that's not going to happen with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's always going to keep going. But it is interesting. I mean, half the rewards, it's going to be pretty tremendous. The prices essentially have to go up eventually. But moving on, I made another video about a month ago talking about is Bitcoin going to rise with the stimulus checks that are going out to the people, and it doesn't appear to be rising for that, but some U.S. citizens look to be splashing their stimulus cash on cryptocurrency. So everybody in America, or at least, I don't know, if you filed taxes in 2018, yada, yada, you get a $1,200 check, you get another $1,200 check if you're married, you get $500 per child, something like that. So with the $1,200 check, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase, says the number of deposits that are exactly the same size as the $1,200 stimulus check has just exploded recently, and I think that's still only like less than 1% of the total deposits. I'm not sure exactly what this entirely represents. Timeline versus the percentage of percentage of ACH buys and deposits. So you can see, if I think this is supposed to all represent $1,200, and you can see it basically quadrupled in this time. So I guess that answers the question on that video: are people going to spend their stimulus checks on Bitcoin? Yes, yeah, apparently yes, they are. It doesn't seem to be affecting the price too much. However, if you're worried about the price of Bitcoin or anything like that, or your altcoins, if you thought that was bad that your coin lost 99% of value, look at oil. And this is the oil futures. So this is the futures for this month. I think for next month, it's actually like $28 or $30, something like that, for crude oil. Right now, it is, according to this, it's negative $35.20. I think it ended today at like negative $37.63 or 66. So that means that oil producers are literally paying you to take away the oil. However, you have to get the oil physically, like physically deliver the oil, and then you would have to store it yourself. See, the problem is that the oil production was so great, and then the coronavirus hit, so there's no airplanes flying around, or very little. There's very little traffic. There's very little traveling. There's very little businesses open. So nobody was using the oil at all. So they're overproducing the oil in a war between Saudi Arabia and Russia in who could produce the most oil to basically move each other out of the markets. And so they were doing that at a time during a global pandemic where nobody was going outside or flying, or very little going on. So now oil is literally negative $37 a barrel. So you could buy an entire barrel and receive $37 for each one. Now, how do you do that? I don't know. Don't do that. But you would have to store it yourself, apparently, and then sell it later. I don't know. But basically, not good. But that's the futures. So again, that was for like this month. The futures were like negative 37. So basically, if you're an oil seller, you just have to pay a bunch of people that they come and pick up your oil and take it away. But next month, it actually has a value to it. It's like $30. So that's about all I have for you guys. I do want to check out the 1 month here. And about a month ago, I was making videos about the halving, and are people going to put their stimulus check money into Bitcoin? And of course, this era here probably isn't actually stimulus checks, but this could be where people are trying to pump it a little bit. And again, by May 12th, I think we might be at like 8,000 or 9,000, maybe. It's hard to say with Bitcoin. However, keep a close eye on the markets, because I think when May 12th comes around, we may see a reverse in the price. We may see a downfall in the price, just because people are going to go, well, nothing happened, I guess I'm going to sell all my Bitcoin. And then probably by next year, we're going to see significantly higher Bitcoin prices. We've always seen a higher low pretty much every year of Bitcoin. And you know, we might even be able to scout that in here. It doesn't seem to want to change. We won't worry about it. But basically, every year, Bitcoin has a lower high, and I think that's probably the most important thing to look at. You know, if 2018 was a low of 3,200, that's still a better low than the low of like 2017, where it was $1,000, et cetera, et cetera. I think the low in 2019 was maybe like 6,000 some, or 5,000. I can't remember exactly. So every year, a better low for the most part. And that's a good thing. So that's my thoughts on the Bitcoin halving. What are your guys' thoughts? And put them down in the comments, because I always read them. I got nothing better to do. But again, I think it's just going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news sort of thing. And it's going to take the market a while to realize that there is a slower supply trickling in as people are trading. And that's when the price actually starts to go up. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. And as usual, I will see you guys next time.